I was the bomb aimer on Joe McCarthy's crew. Now, Joe McCarthy was an American in the Canadian Air Force. Big man, big in size, big in personality, and, thank God, big in pilotability. He was a superb pilot.
And a lot of people don't realise that there was an American on the Dambuster mission.
Yeah, he was the only one.
He was the only one?
Yeah.
And how international was the Dambuster crew in all the planes?
Sorry?
How international was the crew? Was he the only...
We were a cosmopolitan lot, actually. There was Joe, of course, an American. Rear gunner was Dave Roger, a Canadian in the Canadian Air Force. The navigator was Don McLean, a Canadian in the Canadian Air Force. The flight engineer was a Canadian in the RAF. And that left just three of us, Englishmen, jonkers, you know, oddbods. The wireless op, mid-upper gunner, and myself.
And so you were aiming, you got to pull the trigger to release the bomb to bounce towards the dam?
No, we didn't use that tactic at all.
Oh, okay.
We attacked the salt dam, the one that didn't break.
Okay.
Why didn't it break? Basically because Barnes-Wallis had said he thought it would need at least 6 bombs to crack. The salt got that tremendous earthenware centre, and he thought it would take at least 6 bombs to do that. 5 crews briefed originally to go to the salt. It's quite a story actually, still, never mind. We went then to, when we went out to the aircraft, Joe was supposed to be leading that particular group. And when we went out to the aircraft, our aircraft decided that it didn't want to go that night, so we had to get into the spare. And there was a little bit of a hassle with that because Joe, in his eagerness to get to the spare before, as he put it, excuse the language, some other bugger gets there before we do, we can't go. And so he was quite eager to get there, caught his parachute slip as he got out of the aircraft, and his parachute was billowing behind him as we went to the other aircraft. So when we got to that aircraft had only arrived on the station at 3 o'clock that afternoon, and it had been bombed up, fueled up, and it had done a compass swing with the bomb on. And the navigator said, there's no compass card. So went to get a parachute for Joe and a compass card for the aircraft. And eventually we got off, about 30 minutes late. The thing which surprised us was when we got there, nobody else was there. And nobody arrived whilst we were there. And it wasn't until we got back that we found out why. It was Les Munro, the New Zealander. He had been shot up, badly shot up, crossing the islands going in. And it had absolutely ruined his communication system, internal and external. Jeff Rice was getting low over the Zuyder Z to avoid flak, and as he put it later, I was stupid enough not to look at my altimeter. And he ultimately, the bomb hit the water and was ripped off right down the back of the aircraft. We weren't spinning because that wasn't part of our tactics. So that was 2 out to start with, and the other 2 were shot down. Obviously got off track somewhere, off course somewhere, and they were either shot down or flew into cables or whatever, you know. And
because of the high losses on that mission, the RAF never tried that sort of mission again.
No.
Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think we should have kept on trying to hands?
I'm not sure whether they tried it again with the Dortmund-Ems Canal afterwards, because I was away on a course when that went on. And that was disastrous, absolutely. And so many of the pilots tried to dissuade the squadron commander. We had an acting squadron commander then in Gibson's place. And they tried to dissuade him from accepting it. He said, no, we'll do it. But it was an absolute murderous trip. They lost 5 out of the aircraft that went.
How many went?
8. And they lost 5. And one of them was Les Knights, who actually breached the Ada Dam. His crew actually breached the Ada Dam. It was a tragic one, that was, really was. So, and I'm not sure what technique they used for that, whether they used a low-level approach or whatever, but it wasn't a successful one. But basically, our difference with the Sorp, we couldn't do the head-on attack because of the hills, not only in behind, but on either side. And so we had to fly over the dam itself with the starboard outer engine over the crust of the dam and on the water side, and aim, by guess and by God, to drop as near to the centre of the dam as you could. It took us 10 runs to get it right, because what they hadn't told us at briefing was on the attack side there was a church steeple. So what the hell do we do about that? But Joe said, we'll use that as a marker. And so we used that as a marker, and from there down. But it was extremely difficult to get down to the required height. They were saying 60 feet in actual fact. And the right line of the aircraft. Dave Roger, the rear gunner, was our humorist. And after about the 6th or 7th, me saying dummy run, voice from the rear turret, won't somebody get that bum out of here? I realised very quickly how easily it was to become the most disliked member of the crew in quick time, you know. But there it was. Ultimately on the 10th run, yes, we let it go. Thank Christ, from the rear turret. And what it achieved was a crumbling of the top of the dam. Only one other aircraft got through, one of the reserves got through, and he was able to use that as his marker, of course, as he went in. But we came back. When we came back, we flew over what had been the Moan, and it was an absolute inland sea, really amazing. But then suddenly there was a big town ahead of us that shouldn't have been there, and we found ourselves over the Ham marshalling yards, which was not a very healthy place to be at that time of the war. And so Joe again, whoa, down he went. And again, the voice from the rear turret, who needs guns at this height? All they need to do is change the points. And this is the sort of thing which kept the crew spirit really up.